Hello, hello. All right, so this week I wanted to share with you a few experiences that I have had that have helped me realize what confidence is, and a little bit where it comes from. So, flashback here all the way back to high school, where I was a band geek through and through, played clarinet and saxophone, and spent every free moment performing. Now, I decided that I wanted to try out for drum major. I wanted to be able to have that opportunity to conduct and to lead. So, it got through the first round, and then I overheard a friend who was in my section also play clarinet. She was a grade older than me, and I looked up to her, and I heard her talking to people about how she felt like I wasn't going to be able to be firm enough. She didn't feel like I was going to be a confident leader. Now, I don't know if she knew that I was listening. I don't know what her intention was. And normally, at that age, I would have reacted really emotionally to something like that. But, oddly enough, I didn't. As much as it did sting, it just made me work harder. It just helped me to enter that second round with a zeal that wasn't there before. That desire to prove yourself. And at the end, they gave us the opportunity to stand up in front of the group and kind of plead our case, if you will, because it was put to a vote. Our band director would have, veto power, final say, but the group would vote. And I remember getting up in front of the band and looking directly at the friend that had been talking behind my back and saying, I know some of you feel like I won't be able to handle this, but I am here to tell you that I can. And then I went into specifics, and I don't remember all the specifics, but I do remember her having this little smirk on her face, like she knew she had been called out. But I also feel like there was a respect there afterwards that hadn't been there before. And although I did not get the role of drum major, it was one of those moments, right, where you learn humility, right? It's a friend. If it couldn't have been me, I'm glad it was you kind of situation. But I was able to be section leader the rest of my time in high school. So that next step down, still being able to teach and lead music and help prepare the woodwind section for halftime shows and parades. Another time was flash forward to college. Now, I went to college in middle of nowhere, southeastern Idaho, really small school. And I had a friend who was desperately trying to get all of her roommates and her friends to go try out for the cheerleading squad with her. Now, at that age, that's always a struggle, right? Is to find out what is it you really want to do versus, peer pressure, for better or worse. Obviously cheerleading is not that big of a deal. It's not a bad thing. But I do remember that it wasn't because of her that I wanted it. I wanted to do it to prove to myself that I could, after being a band geek for as long as I had. Not that I had any shame in that whatsoever, or never felt discontent with the activities and sports that I chose to do in high school. I just really wanted to learn, and I wanted to try. And so I did. I took her aside, and, we practiced before the tryouts, and and we made the squad. Now, it's not like a huge accomplishment. Again, very small school, and this squad didn't really go anywhere to perform. Most of our performances were on campus for intramural leagues, but still, having tried something that I had no experience in before and succeeding really built my confidence. Plus, I just loved being able to tell people that I threw people for fun. Because I was kind of in between. I could have been a flyer if I really wanted to, but I just really wanted to tell people I threw people for fun. I just wanted to be a beast. The last experience, some of you have probably heard bits and pieces of, but it's my business. I just closed up shop on a business, at-home business that I have been doing for 5 years. Now, before that, I was approaching my first child's first birthday. It's that moment, right? And you have these moments throughout your whole life as a mom where you realize your kid is starting to not need you as much. I mean, for Pete's sake, she was only 1, but it was that first moment, right? The first time that I had felt that, you realize, okay, she's more mobile, she's getting more independent. And realizing that something was missing for me. Something was off. And I couldn't quite figure out how to get back to myself, how to make myself a priority again. Now, on a drive back from Oregon, we were visiting my family. It's a 4-hour drive. We always seem to end up having these serious conversations because when you're stuck in a car with each other for that long of an uninterrupted time, it just happens. And in this car ride, he expressed similar sentiments, that he noticed that I needed something to call my own outside of motherhood, and that he was willing to help in that endeavor. And he offered some suggestions, one of them being a business, but that was never like an expectation. And he always made it clear that, you know, if I made money, if it did help us out financially, great. But that was always the cherry on top. It was always more about my well-being and being happy with what I was doing. And so I did my due diligence and I found Paparazzi Accessories, and I started a business that lasted 5 years and through a pandemic. And it completely changed how I went about everything. How decisive I was, how I spent my time and prioritized my time, how I treated people and helped to empower them to feel their best. Confidence to me is doing things despite what others may or may not think about it. Indeed.com says this about confidence, quote, "Confidence is an individual's trust in themselves and their ability to succeed. Confident people tend to create their own happiness. They are proud of their accomplishments because they know they have worked hard. They tend to speak with conviction and do not usually doubt themselves. If they are unsure of something, they are not afraid to ask for help and learn from someone with more expertise. Confident people understand that taking on too many tasks can be stressful and know how to say no with assurance. They take time to listen to others, as this gives them a chance to learn something new. Confidence is an important skill to have." Now, I will be the first to admit that even though I've have these experiences, I don't always feel confident. It's taken a lot of practice and a lot of years and time and experience to get to a point where I feel confident more often than not. But I've realized in my experience and in my research that a lot of what we've talked about in this podcast already has kind of formed an algorithm or an equation of sorts that adds up to confidence. Some of these thoughts I have pulled from Tony Robbins, so you can look him up here later on. But here is what he has to say that adds up to confidence. First, positive self-talk. Next, conquering limiting beliefs. Next, connect confidence to goals. Next, carry yourself well. This might look like power poses, eye contact, that sort of thing. Next, take credit for your achievements. Next, assess needs. Next, perspective, positive mindset. Next, practicing gratitude. Next, thinking of past successes. Next, visualization. Next, creating healthy routines. Next, unlock the power of proximity. Next, the law of attraction. Next, learning new skills. And lastly, living in the present. Now, we live in a world that has too much focus on physical confidence. And it's hard not to compare, right? When we live in an Instagram filtered world. And there's lots of people out there that sell products and things that will, quote unquote, make you more confident. That you won't be confident unless you have this thing or you look a certain way, which is just not true. Authenticity and confidence go hand in hand. Confidence is the bravery required to be authentic, aka unapologetically yourself. So how do I build my confidence to a point where it won't be rattled if something goes wrong or different than I plan? I came up with 2 different answers for this question. The first one comes from medium.com, and it is to live a principle-centered life. Now, to me, principles are the why we do things the way that we do. A principle is a rule or a belief that governs one's personal behavior. And here are some examples. Discipline, honesty, courage, respect, integrity, compassion, duty, loyalty, so on and so forth. Second is to practice. I know I'm a broken record. This is something I have talked about on almost every episode. But I know for me, I think that's where my confidence comes from. The more that you show up as the person you want to be, you make that conscious decision every day to practice gratitude, to visualize where you want to be and create goals and learn new skills and that algorithm, when we make the choice to fit those into our life, when things are easy, or uneventful, then when things get hard or when things go unaccording to plan, we will react still as that confident person. Although things around us might feel like they're falling apart, we can feel confident in ourselves and in our beliefs that it doesn't matter. We can handle this. Please feel free to reach out and share with me what it is that helps to make you feel confident, or the experiences that have helped to build your confidence. I would love to pick all of your brains. The more that we share and learn together, I think the easier it becomes to realize when we have those moments in our own lives.